buy a lot of cars on Facebook Marketplace. In fact, just this year, I've purchased nearly a dozen. And one thing that I pride myself on is that I never, ever pay above market value. And so in this video, I'm going to be breaking down my secret to finding below market value killer deals on Facebook Marketplace. Like this BMW 3 Series, which I bought for $5,300, this Mazda 2 I bought for $3,100, this Kia Soul, which has a full engine warranty for $4,500, this Tucson for $5,000, the list goes on and on. So let's get started. Now, if you guys are interested in learning more about how to buy cars and potentially list out those cars on Turo, I encourage you to check out the Car Sharing Masterclass, which is my course that teaches you every single thing that you need to know about starting and scaling a car sharing fleet with the exact same business model that I use. In the course, not only do we go over how to buy the right cars at the right price, including how to identify below market value deals, doing a pre-purchase inspection, negotiating, and everything in between, but we also teach you how to scale and start up your Turo fleet in order to make it truly semi-passive. We go over guest communications, day-to-day operations, damage claims and maintenance, everything that you could possibly need to know. If you're interested in checking out the course, you can use the code OFFER100 to get $100 off. The link is down in the description below. So the first step to finding a killer deal on Facebook Marketplace is knowing what a below market value deal actually is. You can do this by looking at tools like KBB or just simply by spending a lot of time in the used car market learning about prices. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail on how you can do that because I have a bunch of other videos that have discussed that exact topic. But the second thing that you have to do is spend time on Facebook Marketplace. So whether I'm cooking dinner, relaxing in the evening,
or going to the bathroom,
there is a good chance that if I'm doing any of these things and if I have a lull in my day, I am at least loosely looking at Facebook Marketplace. And the thing is, whenever you first start looking for Facebook finds, you may think that there is absolutely nothing out there.
I can't find any good deals.
In fact, I get messages all the time and talk to people every single week who tell me,
there are no cars in my market for a below market value price.
But the thing about Facebook Marketplace is that it is a slow burn. And in order to really utilize Facebook Marketplace to its fullest potential, you have to look often and you also have to look for the same things. If one day you're looking for a 2013 Toyota Yaris and then the next you're looking for a 2023 Lamborghini, Facebook Marketplace isn't going to know what you want to see, and thus it's not going to show you what you need to see. The thing that I think is so powerful about Facebook Marketplace is that it starts to learn what you're looking for, and over time it'll begin to recommend you things that fit that piece of criteria. Nowadays on Facebook Marketplace, I see killer below market value deals every single day. Are all of these worth buying? No, not necessarily, but they are good deals and they are exactly what I want to be shown because Facebook knows that that's what I'm looking for. And it also knows that showing me these types of deals, it's what's going to keep me on the platform longer, which is ultimately what Facebook wants. In addition to looking at Facebook Marketplace every single day, another key component to actually buying cars at a below market value price is starting from the right spot in the negotiation game. And that is, don't even waste your time by contacting sellers that are selling their car well above average market price. Because if a car's true value is here, but I want to buy it here, but the seller is selling it here, it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to get them all the way down to here. However, if their asking price is somewhere in this range, it is significantly easier to get them to that below market value price point. This is crucial because if you're talking to somebody who's selling a car for say 10, 15, 20% above market value, it's going to be extremely difficult to get them to the 10% below market value standpoint. But if you have someone who's already selling their car at either asking or slightly below market value, it's much easier to get them to move the dial to where you want them to be. Also, as a very general rule of thumb that I do occasionally make exceptions to is that I don't like doing business with people who say things like price is non-negotiable, don't message me asking if it's available, or those types of sellers who say, I know what I got. Whenever you're looking for the best deal possible, you're going for that desperate seller, that person who is looking to sell their car ASAP. Maybe they need to get rid of the car, maybe they need the cash. It doesn't really matter why they're desperate, but that's whenever you can get the best deal possible. So the types of comments that I don't like dealing with are just ones that are typically not conducive with a person who's willing to come to the table, willing to negotiate, and willing to give you a killer deal in exchange for cash. The next thing I do is I actually message the seller. And I follow the same script every single time I do a deal. First, I ask, is this available? Yeah, I just click the pre-filled Facebook inquiry button. And whenever they say yes, I say, is it clean title? Can I have the VIN? The one thing that I will occasionally change with that specific question is if the VIN is listed in the vehicle listing, then I typically won't ask for the VIN again. However, I will still ask if the title's clean, because if I can get the information directly from the seller, that's better than me wasting my money on a Carfax report. But whenever you ask the question, is this vehicle a clean title and can I have the VIN, you would be absolutely shocked at how many people just don't respond to that. And once I have the VIN, before I even run the Carfax, I send a lowball offer to the seller. I don't have an exact science of how much I offer, but generally it is 10 to 25% less than what they have it listed at, and this will depend on the type of seller I think they are. Someone who has been trying to sell their car for the last 3 to 4 weeks, I may offer 25% less than asking. Whereas somebody who already has their car priced at a good deal and they just listed the car and I really like it, I may offer 10% below asking. It really is a sliding scale, but I always say this. Would you take X amount of dollars in cash? I can come today. This is absolutely crucial, and I truly believe that if you cannot commit to this, you will never find amazing below market value deals. The ability to pay in cash and come right now and having like a sense of urgency with that purchase, that will play to your advantage every single time. And in my personal opinion, it is the best negotiation tool. And I cannot tell you how many times over the years I have purchased a car for an insanely good price simply because of the fact that I had cash and I was willing to come right then and there. Then there'll typically be a little bit of back and forth. Sometimes whenever I offer a price, the seller will come back to me and say something to the effect of, let's negotiate in person, at which point I'll tell them, I'm not going to waste my time looking at a car that's out of my price range. If you can agree to this price right now, I can come with cash today. Sometimes there is a little bit of a back and forth negotiation because at the end of the day, buying a car is a negotiating game and you can't expect for your first offer to always be accepted, though it does often get accepted. So don't be afraid to go back and forth with them a bit to negotiate, and make sure to keep this in mind whenever you send that initial offer. You want your initial offer to be lower than what you would actually be happy with paying for that car to leave you some wiggle room to go up in price if they counteroffer you. And once the seller says yes, that is when I will ultimately run the Carfax. Now, the reason why I wait to run the Carfax until the end is because, again, I don't want to waste my money on a Carfax for a vehicle that I'm not going to end up buying. And so I wait until I've agreed on a price, and then at that point, I will run the Carfax and I'll look at the vehicle history. Now, it does occasionally happen to where we run the Carfax and then we find out that there was a red flag on the report, at which point we'll just back out of it, which really isn't a big deal. Just because you agreed to a price on Facebook doesn't mean that they won't come down more, which is where a pre-purchase inspection or PPI comes in.
The thing is, you need to be looking at things like tires and date codes. You gotta be looking at the engine oil. You need to see if it's sludged up on the inside. You need to be looking at the serpentine belts, body damage, like does the car feel good? You really have to get in the nitty gritty stuff. Check underneath that spare tire well. Make sure there's no water sitting in there. Maybe it smells funky on the inside. Maybe somebody was using it for illegal activities. Anything you find, you need to use that to negotiate.
This is the exact formula that I follow every single time I buy a car. But to be honest, the most important factor here really comes down to this. Be patient. Facebook Marketplace is incredible at finding below market value deals, but it does take time and it's not going to happen the first day that you're looking on the site. Know what you're looking for. To get the best deals, you must be an educated buyer and have cash and offer to come today. That is going to be the biggest strength in your negotiating tactics. Like always, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.